obviously the loans, but just your assessment on that decision.
Well, in most parts of our country, the attorney general slash the government wouldn't have had the ability to file that case in the first place because it was a civil action. And in a civil action, in most places, you need to have a plaintiff who claims he or she was wronged. And that's the basis of a civil case. This was weird because it was a civil case with no plaintiff. And in fact, when they interviewed the plaintiff on the witness stand, the plaintiff said that they had not actually incurred any damages at all, and they don't really understand what the basis of the case was. So the only potential wrong party said there was no wrong done. They said that it was commonplace for borrowers to inflate their balance sheet, as Trump supposedly did. I'm sure he did, and that they never accept the borrower's statement of their assets on face, but they feel it's their obligation to re-underwrite all of that when making their investment decision and their pricing. So here you have a situation where there was no one injured. There was, and the only party that could have been injured not only didn't bring a case, but went and said, nothing happens here. This is a big fat nothing. Okay. So this is probably, I don't want to overstate it, but certainly in my lifetime, the worst example of judiciary um, of kind of wrong-headed abuse of the judicial system for political purpose that I've ever seen, right? And I think it's going to have a highly detrimental effect on the city of New York because, again, we talk about repellents, okay? As an investor or as a lender, we talk about repellents for certain markets. A fair and just judicial system is very high up on the list, right behind physical safety, okay? And so if you can have that kind of a outcome in a court, and someone could be punished so severely for what was obviously and clearly no damage, that sets a terrible precedent. And I think the political people who have clearly embraced a by any means necessary justification for their behavior and feel like they're saving democracy from this evil monster that they've portrayed. You can't save democracy by actually killing democracy. That's one of the lessons that I think somehow got lost along the way. And democracy and the protections that are afforded to citizens in a truly democratic society have to be equally meted out, right? You can't say this person can have, but by virtue of me who's in power, I can tell you this person doesn't deserve the same democratic protections that the other people here have. And when you have that, you don't have a democracy, you have a banana republic. And what these people don't understand is that once you set a precedent for a banana republic where justice is meted out unevenly, one day they're going to be on the wrong end of the political power structure. And they're going to be vulnerable to the same meting out of unfair justice that they just set the precedent for. So it's a disgrace, it's a disaster, and there's nothing good. There's no defense for it.
Two things that's really at your comment. And Governor Hochul obviously was like, hey, look, this is a one-off. This is just because of President Trump did. This isn't for other real estate developers. So your comment on that. And then you and I touched on this briefly on Saturday, that you made a very good point. So I actually reached out to a friend of mine yesterday who was very much against Donald Trump. And he was like all for it. Like, hey, this is great. This is exactly how it should go down. And you mentioned on Saturday that, that point of view can be a little bit frightening.
Well, it's it's the lynch mob, right? And I don't want to be vulnerable to lynch mob mentality, and that's not what the United States has been based upon. Sometimes it has descended into lynch mob mentality. For blacks in the South, in the 18 and 1700s, it was that way. Uh, it's happened in our country. It just happened again, and it's not a pretty sight.
What
Doesn't matter who the victim is.